gets a little bit eager when Connor's just...
Oh, yeah. He's anticipating and stuff like that. So that's normal in the beginning because, again, the way that you're practicing isn't realistic.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be calling them back and forth from each other, and that's where that eagerness comes from. So once you start applying it in a more so organic setting of like, hey, bud, you're just being free, and I might call you in 10 minutes or so, you'll start to see him relax a bit more. Okay, so that's normal, especially with a guy like him because he's more of an anxious type.
Yeah.
They tend to get like that where they're anticipatory or just eager and all that. Look, I think last time we just like very briefly talked about the car.
Yeah.
Did you try to address that at all, or was just like, or did you ignore it?
A little bit. It was kind of like with the keep the collar on, and if he was whining, give him a little zap, right?
Yeah.
He's not crying as much. It's just heavy breathing once he gets in now.
Okay. So he's de-escalated a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So the heavy breathing, is it like panting?
Yeah.
Like that? Okay. Does he know down?
Kind of.
Kind of? Okay, from like previous training treats and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. So we could do one of two things today. We can work on the second half of recall and then just do what you've been doing with the car stuff. Or what we can do is layer remote over the down, and this will we'll use that to actually help us or help you guys settle him within the car. Okay? You can do either or. It's your personal preference.
Will we eventually get to that?
We could do it as soon as the next class.
Okay.
In terms of the down thing.
Let's just do the recall work now, just because we really only go in the car like with them just to come here.
Okay.
So it's not too much time.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. That's fine. Okay. Anything else before we get started?
I don't think so.
All right. So let's go ahead and we'll get them on the same setup with the clip leash and everything, and then we'll practice. We can use the space right here.
Cool.
You're good. I just place it right here. There we go. And then you might need that. There we go.
We did give ourselves a little extension.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So it's like a 24, 25 now?
Yeah, I think it's
got a dog
high
there.
school 26.
All right. We're going to step aside here. We'll start off with a quick warm-up, just to show me what you remember, okay? And then we'll start working on the second part. I'm going to move your bottle here.
Oh yeah, go for it. Thank you.
No, it's just a water bottle, buddy. There we go. Do a tap here for the steering. There we go. Good. And what's your number?
50.
Okay. Yeah, you guys are clear. I don't see the dog. Okay. Is that about how far he goes?
That's pretty good.
Okay. So he'll go further than that.
Especially for his first one.
Okay.
So, like, I mean, it's getting a little better every time. So.
Okay. And we'll work on how we can tweak that today.
Cool.
We'll do a couple more, then we'll swap, and then we'll move on. You have a tap tap. Good job. We'll move on to the next part. All right. Yeah. No, I see it. Good. One more before we swap. Let me have you go this way. We got some dogs coming beside you. Good job. All right, one swap. Right. Good boy.
leave it.
Yeah.
Looking a bit looser. More relaxed.
Oh, he does? Thank you.
Like gum? Extra cup. Good.
Great.
Two more?
Come on. Hey.
Tap, 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 tap. How's he with storms?
He's fine.
Fine. Okay.
Oh, one thing I did want to bring up. He likes eating grass.
Yeah,
Just tap when he's doing it?
correct.
Okay.
If he's on a leash, you can just tap to correct. If he keeps going for it, you got to play with that number to dissuade him. So then he's like, is it really worth eating the grass, right? And I would start at your obedience number, just escalate from there. Okay. But I wouldn't say leave it or anything. Just tap. Because if you say leave it, then you have to say leave it every single time, and you want to teach him like just like don't eat the grass. Okay.
For sure. Come.
Tap, 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 tap. Good. One more.
Great. Come.
Good. Let me have you try this. Go ahead and let that go in the left hand, and then steps with the leashes behind you, and hold the on your right like this. There you go. Say heel and walk this way.
Heel.
Going slow to a stop. Good, and then you can step on your blue leash. Just to secure. There you go, like that. Okay. So, all that looked good. Good momentum. He's looking a bit more relaxed from previous times. How has he been around your place?
I think he's been pretty well.
He's doing good?
Yeah, there were a couple times. I mean, even this morning when we took him for a walk, he walked by a dog that lunged at him. He didn't do anything.
Good. What was the proximity?
Pretty close.
It got
Like probably within like
a couple feet.
Okay, cool. Excellent.
Yeah, we were very impressed with that.
Excellent. Now, one thing, when it comes to like behavior and stuff, right? A lot of my clients get complacent. Like they make great progress and I love it. But then they think it's kind of like the dog's fixed.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're fixed, it's that, you know, they're under control. And then when they get complacent, they get a little bit more lenient. And then the next thing you know, oh my God, my dog became reactive. Or maybe they're doing a great job, and then one day, 6 months later, the dog has a reactive moment. And then it's like, oh my God, right? There's no 100% consistency, right? But if it's one reactive moment in 6 months, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Right? Or a year, even better, right? So it's more so now you have the skill set. If something went down, you can stop it, but then I just continue with life, right? Like my pit, in the 8 years that I've had her, she's had a handful of reactive moments, okay? Seemingly out of nowhere. Like I remember one day we were just crossing the street. I live by Lebanon and Wabash, so like right, you know, the Grand Park area. And we were passing by his neighbor and his like 10-year-old beagle. And I was like, hi, and all of a sudden she just lunged. And I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you? And she like jumped back like, sorry, right? And I just kept walking, but I didn't get worried because, well, that's just, I fix it, right?
Yeah.
But then I was just like, all right, but then it wasn't habitual. It was just a freak moment. I don't know why, I didn't catch why. But I was like, whatever, I stopped it, we continued going, and then maybe I didn't see another reactive moment for like 3 years, you know? Very spaced out. So that's just something to keep in mind. So if you ever see, if you're reading the other dog, and you're like, this dog looks a little bit edgy, I think last time we talked about giving space and stuff, always err on the side of caution and stuff like that, because maybe he does great for the 100 times, but on the 101st time, he's like, too much. right? But it would make sense if he's tolerated it for so long.
Yeah.
You would just correct it, get him under control, and we continue with it. Okay? So good, I'm glad to hear that. So the recall stuff's looking good. So what we're gonna add in today is a bit more kind of, it's just cementing the fact that when I call you, you need to stay called, come to me, stay with me, right? So if you call Astro, he's here, and you were to move like this, for example, what should Astro do?
Move with you.
Correct. So it's much like the heal command, the recall is a packaged product. It's come to me and then stay with me until I release you. So what we're going to add in is what I call my sidestep exercise to help kind of cement this in the brain. The other reason why I do this, or the other two reasons why I do this, is one, it really just gets in his brain when I call you, do not leave me. Okay? We might even see some confusion where you move and maybe he doesn't respond and you remote him and he goes the other way. And you can remote him to clarify, nope, you always move to me. Okay? So it serves a dual purpose. So it's super simple. Everything's going to stay the same. Astro come, back, tap, tap. He arrives, good boy. We wait for him to settle. Wait a moment. And when you move away from Astro, any direction but forward like. Okay? So if he lands to my right, if I move forward like this, and he walks with me, what does that look like? Heel. Right? So I don't know, is Astro default sticking to me or default healing, right? So instead, if he landed here, I would go like this. He should just move with me, okay? So it's a very awkward way of moving, angled out, anything but forward or like this, right? So if I'm going to the left, I want to go straight left as opposed to pivoting, because this again looks like heel, okay? If you start to move and Astro does not immediately respond, you would kick in with the remoting to get him to move with you. I don't care how he does so. It's not specific like heel. It's just follow the body. Gotcha. Okay? Where he lands, also not a big deal. It's just be close to me. Okay? Questions?
I got that.
The other thing we're going to work on is seeing if we can fine-tune that overshooting. So we'll do the side steps first, and at the end we'll tweak the number a bit to see if we can get more of a straight shot. Okay. What's our number now?
We're still at 50.
At 50? Yeah. Okay. So let's go. Who's gonna go first?
I'll go and I got it.
Okay. So we're going to give you Astro.
I just have to start on a start. Astro, come. Good. Tap, 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 tap.
Right. Now here, move 2 steps to your immediate right. Good. Tap, tap. Good. Move 2 steps back. Tap. Good. And then 2 steps to your left. Tap, tap, tap. Good. And praise. Tap, 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 tap. Let's go ahead and go to 60. Good. That's his dog right here. 1 second. Good. Good. And repeat that 4 more times.
Oh, good. Right now? Oh my God, my mosquito bites are really strong.
Tap, tap, tap. Tap, 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 tap. There you go, a little better. You're at 60 still? Let's go 70. Good tap. A little better. Backed up a bit. Okay, go ahead. Come. Tap, 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 tap. Good. tap, tap, tap. Good. Good. Excellent. Up, tap, 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 tap. There you go. Good call. There you go. Right. Good. 2, 3 more. Good boy. Let's try it this way to change it up. Good. Tap, tap, tap. Good. Tap, good. Attaboy. Tap, 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 tap. Turn the face up, back. Tap, 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 backwards. Backwards, tap, tap. There you go. Good. We're at 70?
Yeah.
80. Good. We'll do 2 more.
I gotta keep her on a tighter one.
I don't watch that.
Astro, come.
Better. Good. Good. That's like the best one so far. Good. One more, then we'll swap.
Yeah, that one was impressive.
Yeah.
I have 1 or 2 more.
One.
You said what, baby?
Until he's starting to get tired. He's not as like constant.
Oh, we did watch that documentary. Forgot her name. The nutritionist recommended.
Oh,
At full-
did you get in touch and everything?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Good.
We got a call set up Thursday with her.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Sure.
After come.
Odds one better. Very good. Now let's try this. Do the leash behind you and put them in a heel. Yep, and just walk, heel, tap.
Heel.
Good, slow to stop. Very good. Now, did we go over the stay? We did not. We did not? Okay, so don't worry about that yet. Let's go in and swap here. Give you guys those peek.
Oh my God!
Astro, come.
Good. Very good. Break. 4 more.
Whoa there! Holy yeah.
Astro, come.
Good. So you see how he's more different now?
Yeah.
That's the height.
I would probably listen a little better too as that got higher and higher.
What's that?
I said I'd probably listen a little better too as that got higher.
Good, 3 more. Those are looking really good though.
Yeah, we're seriously so happy with the progress he's made so far.
Excellent.
Astro, come.
Yep. Tap, tap, tap. Now back, tap, back, tap, tap, tap. Very good. That's the confusion that I was talking about. Gotcha. Good. Good, 2 more.
He's itchy. He's mad I didn't let him itch.
Is he?
Yeah. He was like writing on his leg and I zapped him because he wasn't listening to me.
Go ahead and wait a second. You got a group passing by. Good.
Yeah. A long day at the park. You see the puppy?
No, I do. Astro, come.
Yeah, we missed that. We got 8 months. Oh yeah, we missed the whole puppy.
I got my kid at 3 months.
Okay.
So, she was actually pretty good size in that 3 months. How much is she right now? Okay. She's about the same size as Astro. He's more of a, maybe a little bit taller and leaner build. So she's a little bit shorter, tiny bit stockier, but she's also like 8, so that might just be loading going down. Yeah, they're very much similar in terms of size and face. Good. 1 more.
You want to check and see how the tightness is?
I think it's fine. Hey, why don't you go that way?
Watch here. Tap, tap. And then move a little bit to your right, Connor. Tap, tap, tap. There you go. Good.
Astro, come.
Tap, tap. There you go. Tap, 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 back, tap, 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 tap. Start to go off that way. Tap. Right there. Tap. There. Good. Tap. Good. Very good. Now here. Good. Heel. This way. Slowly stop. Good. And then you can step on the black rubber. Very good. So, on your third one, here you tap them, and then you saw them kind of start to go towards the corner, right? That was the confusion I was talking about earlier. So, when we're doing off-leash training, you know, we have the teaching phase, and then we have a proofing phase, okay? And I try to go into proofing as early as I can, and it's with these kind of exercises. So last week, I said every time you call them, make sure you remote them, right? So that we can create some kind of confusion, so that we can work through it. Same thing here, if you're moving away, and he's thinking he got confused, and you're remoting with nobody, like remote always means to return this. Okay, so while we're doing all this stuff, you're getting both. So that this way, when we go to fully off leash, we've already worked with these kinks, right? Because these are things that people don't think about that happen. They just think, well, once you teach a dog, let's do it. I'm like, yes and no. Like, they're going to make mistakes. And I want to make sure that when we're in this phase, we get as much of those mistakes or, how do you say, miscommunications out the way. So if anything, if I remote a dog off leash, I would always want them to err on the side of just come back to me. Right? And even if I sit down, if the dog screws up and it returns to me, like I'd rather that than run away. For sure. Okay? So I'm glad that that happened because that's exactly why we also do this. One, to cement and stay with you, but also to create mistakes that we can work through so that we clarify for him. Okay? Any questions about this so far? Nope. He did good except for that last one. When he saw that black dog or whatever, you can see where his mindset is. Right? So right there, one thing I would have done is probably bumped it because you're at 80. Right? So I probably would have went to 90 because even though you're at 80 and you're moving and he was getting it, you can still see where he was just kind of not 100% there, right? So then I make him 100% there by increasing the power. Okay? When you had him, when you were closer to the, how do you say, the distraction, you could see the remote wasn't really phasing him. So I had to do like a single step away and then the remote, and you can see how it redirected them and got his attention back over here. So those are things that you want to look for as well. There's no real right or wrong, right? The other option would have been I just keep bumping it until I make him disengage, right? Or if that doesn't look like it's working, then I give a little bit more space to see if that'll redirect his attention to like, we're over here, buddy. Conversation is happening here, okay? Otherwise, all that looked pretty good. He's got good speed. I mentioned to Connor that most of his overshooting went away. It was more direct, potentially due to higher pounds. Okay? Because that's what I was going to actually have you guys do. I was going to have you do these reps, and then I was going to say, let's bump it, and then do it again to see if it's going to be more direct. Okay? So, when you've worked with him in the neighborhood, what's the general number you've been operating at for the recall?
Probably right around. We'll probably start.
It's usually 70, 70.
Yeah.
Okay.
We try and start as low as possible.
Sure.
Maybe around probably 50 or something, and then we probably end up where between 70.
Okay. So what I do is every time I work with the dog, if it started off kind of spotty, overshooting, right, I'm at 50, and I bump it, and let's say by the end of the session we're at 80, but it's very direct, and I see that consistently, then I just come out and I start at 80, right? Because ultimately that's what he's doing. And theoretically, I would say, start and then work your way back up, but that's how you know if it's going to be 80, because that's when you end up. Today we end up on 80, right? And all of a sudden, it's very direct.
Makes sense.
So what happens is, let's say you keep it at 50 and you always do that, it's going to always start with an overshoot, and unless you're at 80, you're not going to get the direct, right? So now we want to start making sure that we practice the immediacy from the get-go, because then he thinks, I have this window to not be direct, right? So then I obviously don't want him to learn that habit, because what if like there's something behind me and he overshoots and starts to go to that, right? So now, when you work with them at home, I'd already be, maybe 75, just under it, so that you get to that number and that directness from the get-go. So then recall is get your butt here, not this little loop around or whatever. Okay? Questions about that?
I don't know.
Did we talk about, I think I talked about like if you are walking around Grand Park, letting them be free and the dog and all that, and then practicing with that stuff. Did we talk about like changing it up between the two of you where you're like moving with him and then doing a recall? Yeah, you did? Were you able to do any of that, or did you do more so of the him being loose wandering around?
You're talking like the drill we did last week and have been doing right now?
No, like if I'm walking with him and then you call.
Oh, yeah, we did that a couple times.
Okay, so we're gonna jump to that. So Don't worry about the side step exercise, but that's what you're going to be applying now when you do your homework.
Okay.
Is you'll call him. You don't have to do it every time.
Yeah.
Every now and then. And I like to take advantage of times when he's distracted. So if he comes to me, right, but then he's looking over there, I'll sneak over here, right? And even though he can't see you moving away, when you're moving, there's sound, right? He'll learn to tune into that sound and still be spot on, despite the fact that he's looking this way, okay? So take advantage of those moments. Anytime the dog is distracted or disengaged from me, I use that as an opportunity to catch him off guard, because that's what makes him really tune into the game. Okay? So what we'll do here is we'll start first with walking away. Okay? So we'll have Connor take Astro. You'll start walking, okay? I want you to do the recall about 10 feet away. We're gonna get confusion in the beginning, where he might glue to Connor because he's gonna think heel.
Yeah.
So when you call him, go in and start moving back. So at some point, tension will kick in to redirect him, and you just keep your movement forward until he leaves. Okay? Because if you pause, he's gonna glue to you, and it's gonna make it real hard for her to get him to disengage. And we'll repeat that a few times. We'll swap, and we'll try increasing the speed to see if he'll disengage even when he's running. Okay?
Okay. I'm crazy impressed with the battery on this thing.
Yeah. If you're using it, a couple hours a day, it's about 2-3 weeks with
Yeah.
the battery.
Say we're about an hour a day and I have it charged. Yeah, I guess that's
So just so you're aware, battery signal on the remote does not apply to the call.
yes.
Okay. So go ahead and
Do you normally wait until it starts blinking yellow to charge it?
it's personal preference.
Okay.
Like some of my clients, I'll tell them to charge in the morning as they get ready, and then they'll just keep it good to go. Otherwise, you can wait till you see it orange. Red is definitely charged now. 2 hours and it should be fully charged. And actually, let me go ahead and have you start beside her so that you're able to get some distance so she can do the recall while he's halfway away.
Yeah. Should I tell him to heel?
Just walk. No deal. Yeah.
Astro, come.
Tap, 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 back, tap, tap, back, tap, tap. Yep, back, tap, tap. There he goes. Good. Yeah, that was perfect. Right? Good. We'll do that 2 more times.
Astro, come.
Yep. Tap, 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 tap. Good. Good. Try it again. Good. Yep, there he is. Good. Attaboy. Good. We're going to swap. Now, on that last one, I don't know if you saw him kind of do this, but because he's walking somewhere, and actually on the first one, because he kept walking, Astro kept like going dead, like you were like dead. Did you see that? And then finally he turned around. So what I'm gonna have you do here is when you call him, kick in with a really fast rhythm. See if you can get him to back off, turn, before he gets the end of the catch.
You say back pedal fast?
Fast.
Okay.
Right? Because we're trying to get him to go like this long and turn before the tension kicks in. Okay?
So when I was the bottom, that's what we learned. We didn't get to see one.
Astro, come.
Yep, there you go, right there. Good.
That sounds like
That was good. Great, great.
that's the word. A little close, man. A little close. Something Hey, Millie. Hey, Millie. I will still never forget. I was on a call with a Brazilian and they're like, okay, so
There you go. That's good.
well, we had a minor that we like
Excellent. One more.
2 years ago. Like, so it's the it's the anniversary of some minor major. And then they're like, then we're like,
Astro, come.
well, how about the next?
Yep. Good. Good. You got it. Good.
We can't have this after Carnival, and we can't have one the week after Carnival either. Because
Good.
yeah,
Going
so then they had
heel
to be
forward.
4 weeks after what we hoped it would be.
Excellent. So those last 3 were pretty good. The last one you got a little confused. Kind of stalled a bit. But he was able to turn pre the leash tension. And that's what we're trying to create, okay?
And this is
We're at 80.
fucking normal.
Let's go to 88. And we're gonna do the same thing, but now you're gonna do jog away. Okay? So you're not
Person handling Astro.
But I'm talking about
okay. Everything stays the same. And I'm having to come in a little bit slower because we've increased the power. Because since you're moving faster, you might be more inclined to stick with who he's with. So we're gonna see if we can get him to perform like he was, but at a faster speed.
You said 10. You want Ezra to come in and pass it slower?
Because I was going really fast with the 80, but we just bumped it up a little, so.
Yeah, we're still. Yeah. So we increased the power to encourage the disengagement from the person running, but we have to compensate a bit. So we're going to go a little bit slower so that he's not like overwhelmed with power. Okay. And then so right when Astro hits about 10 feet away, kick in with the recall right there. Okay.
No. You fucking door. I'm just going to go and be like, hey, we trust you there. There's so much fun.
There he is, attaboy.
There's so much fucking fun.
Good. We'll do 2 more. Tap. There you go.
Astro, come.
Yeah, there you go. Good, better. Tap back, tap. There you go, good. Good. We'll do 1 more.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, you stalled a bit.
Yeah, I feel like it's just like keeping this Astro, come.
Yep. Good. Do you mind doing 2 more? That was better. Like he stalled more. So I'm trying to get it where he'll whip around.
Astro pump.
Careful. Tap, rolling your leash. You're good. Back, tap, you got it. And reeling your leash. Tap, 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 tap. There you go. Back, tap, 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 tap. You got it. Tap, tap. There you go. Good. We'll do one more.
Astro pump.
There we go. Good. Tap, tap, back, tap, tap. Good. Good. And go ahead and put them in the heel.
But we can't
All right. So, he's like 70%. Okay. It was easier for the walking. For the running, that third one I think was the best one. I think he stalled sooner, and like you can see like the thought process. So, a couple ways to make that turnaround happen is to keep playing with power, or we just keep drilling it and increase the rhythm, because that's what's getting him, to like kind of detach and like figure out like what over here. Okay. On that fourth one with the black dog walking by, right? So, one thing with reeling in the leash is go ahead and make that a force of habit, right? Main reason is, let's say that happens, and you're reeling in, and he does go. When you reel it in, you've limited how far he's going to go, and I just keep with that process that technically shouldn't get to the dog. Does that make sense? Yeah. Right. But then once I noticed it, I was like, tap, 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 right? Like really fast, and keeping with that pressure to disengage him. Of like, you need to figure out what to do because I'm more important than the dog. Okay? And feel free if we're working, if something pops up, and if your brain says, I think I should bump it, go ahead and do so. Okay? So that you're wanting to dissuade him and encourage him to dissuade him from staring and encourage him to redirect. And once you're having a taps in, we like disengage and then they and then you kick in with the rest of it, and it was fine. Okay. Questions about that?
Yeah, I didn't see the dog. I have a hearing disability, so as I got back there, I like couldn't hear anything, and I was trying to figure out. But then I saw the dog and realized.
But yeah, otherwise, everything was good. Any questions about this thing?
Do you think that exercise is more beneficial than just stand in place?
Yes, because now we're making these more realistic. Okay. You can even make it more so realistic, where like you have Astro and you're running back and forth, right? As you're playing and stuff, and then somebody does a recall. You're trying to mimic, he's chasing the squirrel, he's running towards something he shouldn't. Typically, when people need that recall to function, it's when the dog's running towards something. If the dog's running towards you, like there's no problem there. Yeah. So we're trying to imitate him chasing something. So I had a client, man, that guy is out here all day with his dog. He was here earlier. He's been here like all day. Ready to, yeah. We see him
Surprised the dog still has energy.
We see him all the time.
That's awesome.
So I had a client. He lived across the street from this big open field. It was like probably like the length of Oz here. Okay. And every morning there was like 50 geese or whatever. And his dog loved chasing geese. So he bought like a 100-footer. He he'd go every morning, break, let the dog go, and he'd call him like, you know, halfway there, 3/4 there, when he was just getting there, when he was in the middle of them. Every day, and then after like 2 weeks, he had perfect recall.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right, because he had great distraction, and then he'd be like, break, let the dog right back to the geese, whatever. So the geese didn't have a good time, but the dog did,
Yeah.
and he got really good recall very quickly.
That's awesome.
You see how he goes into a relaxed, that hip sit right there? Good. So like, let's say if he's looking and you don't get a complete disengagement, a little shift like that is telling you the brain's in a more settled state. Okay? Step again. Good. So if you have that, you know, because over by you, I know there's squirrels right there along where the metro train is.
Oh yeah.
You know, so that's a great place to practice. And like, break bud, boom, he's going, and then as he's going, Astro come.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You know, so again, recall takes the longest for people to practice because you're trying to make it realistic. But this gives you a very good foundation. Okay. So if there's nothing to use, you can make something happen that would still be beneficial. Okay. Does he have any ball drive?
Yes.
Yeah. Is he crazy for the ball?
He would be if we had the space for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we could chuck it for him.
Okay. So if you wanted to do a recall in that exercise, right? So if I have a dog that has crazy ball drive and I have the space, long leash, and you can even clip this leash to that leash to that leash, and even longer leash. Break, boom, right? He goes on the pursuit. Astro comes, boom, he comes back. They had a boy, break, and let him get the ball, and then I give him a bunch of freebies. But if you drill that too much, he's not going to want to take it. He's going to think, oh, you're going to call me, right?
Yeah.
So you have to do it sparingly. So I might just do a couple within the training session until you start to see comfort. Where he's like, oh, okay, like I don't have to worry about being called a million times. It's just every now and then I might get called on that set. Okay? Exactly. Questions about that? No? So I had you guys do a little bit of peel, right? And he's on a 25-foot leash, but he was here. So the methods that we use to train are off-leash methods. The tools, you know, e-collars was what it's meant for, but now we're transitioning from short leash to 30-foot leash. Okay. So we have 4 phases typically, from short leash to long leash dragging, to long leash dragging to no leash enclosed area, no leash unenclosed area. If you can do that process. Okay. So dogs see things in pictures. So when you're walking with Astro, you know, he's here, you're here, there's the leash, right? It's visuals in it. And I've had dogs be spot on perfect. Every movement with the owner, and as soon as the owner dropped the leash, the dog didn't know it was here because there was no longer that vision. Okay, so to create or to like kind of start bridging that, we go to long leash. I forget about the short leash. Everything stays the same. Your pivots, your turns, your left turns, your crossover turns, your stops, your slowing down, everything stays the same. What changes is now you have a 25-foot leash, right? So for Astro, he may not see it the same because he doesn't see this here because it's the reason why we do to the right is it keeps it out of his feet and your feet, and he'll see it here in the middle. So if you bring it to the side, to him it's like there's nothing there. Okay, so one of my clients put it as, you know, giving the dog a 30-foot mistake line, right? So like you turn and you're tapping, and Astro should just come here, but now that there's no connector, he might go, I don't know what to do, and run off. I keep moving and remoting because I'm not worried because I have him on the other end of the leash. Does that make sense? So what we're going to do here is I'm going to have you go ahead and go through the heel, left turn or crossover turns, pivots, slowing the stops, picking up speed and stuff. Everything the same. If you see Astro start to deflect off of you, don't stop. Keep your momentum, keep moving away, and keep tapping until he figures it out. Okay? Questions?
Doing it on the left, right?
Correct. Okay?
Sorry.
Tap, tap forward. There you go. Tap forward, tap forward. Keep moving forward. There you go. Right. Keep forward. There you go. This is okay. Good turn. Right. There you go. Good pivot. Yep, move forward, tap, tap. Tap, tap. There he is, good. Try walking, Connor, can I have you come up a little bit? Right there. And try walking past Connor with Astro in the middle of you two. Good. Keep forward. Good. Good turn. Try one more time. And speed up right here. Tap, tap. Good. Very good. And slow to stop. Good. Do you know why I had you try that?
Was giving a good reason to train earlier.
Close. So a lot of times when I work with couples, when one person has the dog in command and walks past the other, the dog a lot of times will just leave. Okay. So then it gives us, we're forcing the mistake. Yeah. I can remote and like, no, but like you're on me. So when I had you did the first one, no problem. So the second one, I go speed up, so that we can create a gap, so that you can remote them. Because I want to see would he go to Connor or would he go to you, right? And then go to you. Exactly what I want to see. Okay. When you first started off, you said heel. He didn't move. You started tapping, and then you stopped a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So keeping that momentum. But in the beginning, I don't know if you saw, the tapping was actually stalling him.
Okay.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, I didn't know why that was.
Yes.
For some reason, then he didn't want to.
Correct. So remember, with the short leash, now you probably see him speed up, right? Because there's only so far he can go before tension kicks in. The only other option is move in. But now he has more space. He can go further, right? So that's the disconnect. And that's why we're doing this. And what I'm wanting to see is when you move forward, if he delays and I tap him, it should be cool. He does speed up, okay? So you might find you do this and he stalls and you're 20 feet away, still remoting, because he's thinking like, how do I fix this problem, right? And you're trying to teach him within a greater context of distance what to do to resolve the issue, okay? And that's why your movement is so important. For Astro, heel is this side of your body. Okay, so one thing that can help with Astro, if he just stays stuck, you just keep moving forward. He'll get it. Okay, even if it takes a little bit of leash tension, he'll get it. But let's say Astro goes over here. Now he's 30 feet that way. If you keep remoting and keep going like this, he's not going to connect it because he doesn't know the side. He knows this side.
Yeah.
So what I would do is either turn inwards or pivot. So now my left is to him and remote, so that it's easier for him to close that gap. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So as you start to advance things, when I make one thing harder, I try to make one thing easier. Balance it out for the dog until they pick it up and then move on to the next thing. Okay? Questions about that? So when you do your recall stuff, now you can start dabbling with long leash heel. You know, so like over by you guys, like there's it's like baseball diamonds, and it slopes down. Have you seen that? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It's huge. It's this huge open space, right? Great place to practice. Right.
Yeah, we like that area.
Yeah.
It's becoming more crowded, but
Oh, is it?
yeah, right by Lakeshore Drive.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then there's tons of geese there too. Yeah. So I used to go there to play catch with my guys. So
It's still a good spot too. You can see it from our window. So
really?
check it out when it's empty
see
or
the
not.
or whatever. Yeah,
exactly.
for sure. So great place to practice.
Noted.
If you're feeling really confident, okay, you can go to the leash strap. right? You have a 30-foot line, and you have a good distance before it's lakeshore and before you get to Michigan, right? So it's a nice space to practice with. When you do the recall stuff, for now, still keep it with leash in hand, but for the long leash heel, if you see this is going great, you want to drop that long leash. If Astro is getting confused or something, you go to stepping on the leash, try to refrain from picking it up if possible. Okay? So then like if it goes the wrong way, so if I'm walking Astro, maybe he shoots off this way, right? So what I'll do is I'll pivot, stepping on the leash, and I'll start remoting. He can't go anywhere. And this is the only time I stop because I'm putting a limit, right? Eventually he's gonna go, I can't go anywhere. He'll start to shoot towards you, and then I pick up my movement again because now he's understood to attach. Okay, and then you keep on like that. Questions? Good. Right. Your priority, of course, is the recall stuff, but if you have the time, you can do the long and start working on the process. Okay? Anything else? Sure. Oh yeah, with the stationary stuff. Yeah. And you might find like he starts to anticipate on the running away, right? Then I let it go, and maybe I try it a different way, like again with the running around, playing with them, playing tug and all that stuff. Change it up, and then if I don't think, as long as you don't back to back it, like maybe you do 3 minutes of play, then a recall, then like 5 minutes, 8 minutes of play, you know, putting a bigger gap, you'll still catch them off guard. Otherwise, then I start going to the more organic, like, all right, long leash heel, walking through that big open field, oh, there's a piece, break, you know, let him have at it for 3 minutes, recall, back into long leash heel, you know, just infusing it interchangeably. When it comes to dog training, the best form of dog training is applied dog training. You know, you're acting like, you know, obviously when you walk up, you're always using the heel. That's why that advances so quickly. But like the recall and the stationary stuff, the sit down, I think that will cover it usually a little longer. Because most people don't command their dog that much inside the home.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So, but, you know, I've learned throughout the years like how people operate. You know, but if you're wanting, again, real good control, it's easy to practice. It's just people push it a little. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Awesome. He's doing great. He's doing really good. Okay. So we'll see you in a week.
Yeah.
Okay. If anything pops up, let us know. And then next week, actually, if you would, does he know down with treats? Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead and revisit that. If you each could do like 3 minutes of just downward treats, just to get it fresh in his head, and then next week we're gonna layer remote over it.
Okay.
Okay?
He probably would get a.
Is there a training treat?
I do chewy stuff, anything chewy, you know, like I don't do biscuits, because biscuits take forever. I personally train as long as the dog doesn't have any allergies, human stuff, cheese sticks, pepperoni, salami, whatever. Because since we're training to a higher degree, you know, obviously if we work harder, we want paid better, right? Same concept for the dog. Otherwise, you know, regular chewy training treats is fine. And then once we jump to remote, we won't need to. It's just to kind of get it back in the head and make it easier once we get to it. Okay? Cool. Awesome. Good job, guys.
Appreciate it.
You're doing really good.